So, welcome to part 2 of building World of Warcraft add-ons. In this part, we're going to learn what a frame is, what the WoW API is, how to build a frame, how to make a texture, and how to place some sounds. So, quickly, a frame in World of Warcraft is just like any other texture or any box that you sort of see on your screen. A frame is basically any of these little frames that you see on your screen. We can actually access all of our frames with the frame stack tool that we showed ourselves in the last video. So you can see that everything in our UI has a frame. The frames are highlighted in green right now. And so this allows us to basically make our UI. Every frame is attached to another frame, and every frame is attached to the UI parent as the original frame. I don't know if I can, there it is, yeah, so the UI parent. You can see in the tooltip all the frames that are attached to each frame. Every frame is kind of just a box, and you can add textures to it, you can add events to them so that functions play out whenever something happens, or sounds or anything that you feel like. All right, we're gonna actually just start building these frames really quickly. So we're gonna need to create a variable to hold this frame, and to do that, you start a variable off with the local keyword, or if you don't want it to be a local variable and you know what that means, then you don't need the local key there. But just start out with that. We're gonna name this variable myFrame, and then we're going to assign a value to our variable so that we can use that value later. This value is going to be a frame. So we're gonna create frame. All that we need to tell this frame is it takes a couple of arguments. It needs to be a frame. It needs a name. So we're going to name it myFrame as well. And then it needs a frame to attach itself onto. So that's going to be the UI parent. Basically, what we did here is we created a variable, and then we used the World of Warcraft API to create one of those green squares, and we save it to our variable. It's not too hard. Then with our frame, we're going to need to give it a position and a size. So we're going to use the World of Warcraft API again, the functions that they give us through this frame to set the position, center, the very simple position. There's 9 different positions, so there's top, left, top, center, center, top. Oh no, there's just top. And then there's top, right. So there's 9 different positions that it can be. So there's top, left, bottom, right, and center. So of those, there's 9 different combinations of them. So we'll just put it in the center. And then we also need to set a width. And we need to set a height. So 300 is 300 pixels, and it comes out not too big if you just do that. We can save it, and then come over to World of Warcraft, reload, And we don't see anything right now. Actually, I have an error. So it's not set position, set point is how we set the position of the thing. Reload it. We're good, but we still can't see anything. And that's because our frame doesn't have any texture. So we're not going to be able to interact with it in any way or see it. The only way we're going to be able to see it is if we hit our frame stack. This is our frame, our 300 by 300. Yeah, so the source all the way in the bottom right, bottom left tooltip, it's coming from our add-on. So at least it knows that. I don't know why the name doesn't pop up on it, because we give it a name, it should pop up, but that's just a small issue, I guess. So that's pretty easy for setting up the frame there. Then next, we're going to want to attach a texture to this frame. So we're going to create another variable, same as our last variable, except this one's going to hold a texture. And this function runs off of our frame. So we need to use the frame that we're going to attach this texture onto, and we call the function create texture. This doesn't take any arguments. Then my texture, what we need to do is we need to tell this this texture frame to overlay exactly on top of our original frame. So we do that by saying set all points, and we give it my frame as the frame that we want to set to. And then we're gonna give it a texture. Set texture. I'm just gonna copy this over really quick. Put it in there. So the thing that you need to remember about using textures is they need to be .blp files. You need to convert a PNG over to a .blp, and then you need to bring it into your add-on, create a separate folder for it, or you don't need to create a separate folder, but you create a separate folder for it and you put it in there. Then when you are accessing the file name for the texture, you want to start out in the interface folder, and then you use double backticks and you go down to the add-on folder, your add-on, my add-on, and then into the images, and you get your actual file, the BLP file. It's pretty simple. That's how you get a texture in, and that's how you put it right over your frame. So we're going to save that, enter into the game, and reload. And we get another error because we forgot an S on set all points. There we are. Reload this, and we get our texture. Big old smiley face right in the center of the screen. Perfect, exactly where we want it. Nice. And we can move that around if we feel like it. So if we put in left, then we reload, it'll go over to the left of the screen. And if we give it two more arguments, it'll take an X offset and a Y offset. So if we give it an X offset of 50 and no Y offset, you will see that it pushes over about 50 pixels over to the right, which is kind of cool. Next, we are going to add a script onto our frame. What the script is going to allow us to do is click the frame. So how do we do that? We're going to take our frame, my frame, and we're going to give it a World of Warcraft API function called set script. We're going to tell it there's only say 2 different script types, maybe 3 different script types that you're going to need, and these are like inputs. So on click is the input type that we're going to need, so it's going to register clicks from the mouse. You could do on key press, key pressed, on key down, yeah, on key down or on key up works for the keyboard. And then on event works for events that trigger in-game. So that's not too important right now for us. On click is what we want. So this is going to make it so our frame can be clicked, but it doesn't do anything when it is clicked right now because we haven't told it to do anything. So the next thing that set script takes is a function. This is the function that's going to run whenever we click our button. Self button down. Yep. So self isn't very important right now. What self is the actual frame that we're clicking so that we can reference it when we're in the function. It doesn't matter. It just makes things more dynamic in the future. Button is the button that we get. So if we click with our left button, this is going to be left button. If we click with the right click, it's going to be right. And down is whether we are currently clicking it down or if we have released the button. It's kind of important, but we don't really need any of these right now for what we're doing. Just to make sure that our button is printing something out or is working, we're going to just print something out. We're going to print out clicked. So we're going to save that, go over to World of Warcraft, reload, and click. You see, this is why we test things. Right, of course. I completely forgot. At this point, we can't use a frame for our button. We need to use a button frame rather than a frame frame. So there's a higher class of frames that everything is in World of Warcraft, but then there's different types of frames. So there's a basic frame, there's a button, there's scroll wheels, there are a couple of other, there's textures, there's there's fonts for text and stuff like that. But what we need right now is a button so that we can attach an on click to it. So we're going to save that, come back over, click our button, and it prints out clicked over in our chat window. I don't know if you can see that, it might be a little bit small, but it printed out clicked. And we can click it as many times as we want, and it still prints it out. So that works perfectly. Now we're going to want to attach our sound onto it. And attaching a sound onto this when we have it working so that it can click is really, really easy. We're just going to call the World of Warcraft function from the API, play music. Have to get the capitalization right and everything. And then we're going to give it our file location. So this uses front ticks rather than back ticks. And then you're going to still want to start in the interface and then move down to add-ons, your add-on, the file that you create that you're going to put your sound into. I like to put it into my sounds folder. Just makes things a little bit easy. And then the name of your sound. So the one thing that you need to remember about sounds in World of Warcraft is they can't just be MP4 files, I don't think, or just any other sound file. It needs to be a .ogg sound file. So there's a couple of converters online that make it really easy for you to drag and drop an MP3 file onto the website and you can get an OGG file. It's nothing too hard. So you can pretty much put any sound that you feel like it into the game. So just with that, we should be good. Now, when we reload and we go to click our icon, it's still going to print out clicked, but then if we turn on our sound first, and we should also...
That was easy.
Yeah.
That was easy.
All right.
That was easy.
Right. We got what we wanted. We got that was easy. The staples little clip. So with that, I wanna add just one little extra thing into this add-on to make it a little bit less annoying. I haven't really explained functions too much, and I know that we're using them a lot, but this function can create a timer. So c.after, and then it asks you how many seconds. So we're going to put in 2 seconds. So after 2 seconds, we want to run a function. And this function is going to run the World of Warcraft API function stop music. Yes, it's a lot of functions, but just this little thing, if you can understand it, just this little thing will stop your music. So after a 2-second timer, run this function. The function is stop the music. So that's going to run after we play the music, but only 2 seconds after. So if you can imagine, that is going to make this a lot less annoying. It's gonna stop it from continuing to play over and over and over again. Okay, click it.
That was easy.
Hey, and it didn't play again. That's what we're looking for. So, pretty sure that's exactly what I want this add-on to be. This is really good for a second lesson. This should be a really good foothold into building World of Warcraft add-ons. If you've made it this far, I'm really proud of you. You've got a nice little smiley face add-on that you're probably gonna want to turn off, so that you don't always have the smiley face there. But if you feel like it, you can make the smiley face a little bit smaller. Put it somewhere else on your screen. You know, things like that. So that it works better. Oh no, I put it off the screen. So that it works better, and maybe it'll just sit there all the time and you can just click it.
That was easy.
And it'll do exactly what you want it to. Really nice when things work properly. The last thing that I want to show is just the file structure, so that you guys know what this add-on's supposed to look like. So, of course, you come into your classic era folder, you go through the interface, the add-ons, and we come down to the add-on that we're making, my add-on, and you can see I still have just the core file, the myaddon.toc file, and then these 2 folders that hold our assets that we created. So I hope that was helpful. If you liked the video, leave a like, follow me on social media. There should be another video coming out tomorrow on how to build more add-ons for World of Warcraft. And take care.